"10 years ago, my brother-in-law's father was drunk and driving late at night and drifted into an oncoming lane where a man who had cocaine in his system was riding a motorcycle. They were both making bad choices, but the man on the motorcycle died. I found out the next morning when my sister sent me an email with just a couple of sentences. She had been up all night helping her husband try to make sense of what had just happened and how they would move forward. The email said something like, "You should know this happened last night," with a link to a brief cron.com article that had been written from a police report. As it happened, I was a web editor for cron.com. I knew, even before I clicked on the link, that I didn't want to click on it because I was accustomed, even 10 years ago, to the worst of humanity vomiting all over the comment section of any story about anything. Sure enough, the comment said, "Mexican name. Send him back to do his time." I was infuriated. Out of some dumb reflex, I punched my computer screen as if to hurt the person who left the comment. I half said something to my neighboring coworker demanding that someone take the comment down, which we absolutely had the power to do. Don't let anyone tell you differently. And I ran to the bathroom to breathe. The man was and is a legal citizen, but who cares? The whole situation was terrible. I was in shock for my family, for a terrible, very terrible ordeal that was happening to my sister, grieving. And some anonymous asshole was invited to weigh in on it and decides to flick a cigarette into our gas tank. That was the first time the internet made me feel violated. As my job at the newspaper changed, I became exposed to strangers' feelings about what I wrote and sometimes just me in general. This was still before everyone had access to smartphones, though, and Facebook was just picking up steam. I was insulated by the internet's infancy. The truth was that I would have welcomed any comments on my local band interviews. Someone, anyone, please read this and say, "Cool, would like to check this band out." Or, "You're wrong, this band is actually 5 dogs. I don't know who it was you interviewed." Anything would have been fine. It was only in the last couple of years on the job, around 2009, but let me reiterate that this was after 7 years of writing about Houston music that no one gave a shit about, that I was able to amass some comments from strangers. Especially, though, when I wrote anything critical, which was hard for me to do, but was my job to do. The comments were not pleasant to read, but most of them were at least trying to actually disagree, rather than simply calling me stupid or fat or whatever. After years at my job trying to build something respectable, someone, I still don't know who, but someone I probably know, made a parody site of the work I had done with my beat partner, Joey. I am curvy, and Joey is gay. So the parody site referred to us as Chesty and Queera. Please, if this was you, never tell me. I will hate you forever. I cried about this stupid parody that lasted, I don't know, a couple of weeks at most. But not just because my years of work had been reduced to a dumb epithet about my appearance, but because I cared about the work I did, and I had to fight to keep it alive. Local music coverage just isn't important to the ghost of William Randolph Hearst, who does personally sign every Houston Chronicle paycheck. Chesty and Queera. I hope someone somewhere made a public parody of your career, you dumb, anonymous, underwear drawer silverfish. That's nasty. Of course, I was laid off when things were getting good, when Twitter could lift your page views and build a following for your work. Now, I work for a government-regulated company on the 33rd floor of a building a few blocks away from where I used to work. I get to disappear into a shiny building every day and blend in with every shade of gray imaginable. Everyone is polite and well-fed. Corporate gigs are great. I don't care what anyone says. But my job, though? I'm a social media manager. In 2016, being a social media manager means going to work every day and asking for someone to pluck your nose hairs out. When they're out of those, pubes. Out of those, they'll take you to a hair transplant clinic, surgically place hair into your hairless places, then pluck them out as soon as they're snug in their fragile follicles. To manage it right now is to be some sort of pioneer in some industries. I help everyone from marketers who don't understand Facebook posts to executives who don't understand Facebook posts. No one understands anything, and that's fine, I guess, but the days that it's fine are quickly drawing to a close. My job is to get them ready for the day when everything is social, when even your grandma is sending money via Facebook Messenger, and I still think it's just a couple of years away. In the meantime, however, there are crises that go viral on social media, and no one can afford to not understand those. I managed a big one this year. It was bad, and there was video, and it made its way to CNN and Breitbart, so you can imagine what the social media manager of this company had to put up with. Death threats. Not directed precisely at me. I keep myself well hidden, but I'm the only one who reads them. I processed hundreds of death threats over the course of a couple of months this year. I had to go searching through each threatening person's profile to see if they seemed like a legitimate threat, to see if I could find any identifying information that I could send to our security team. I don't know what they did with the information, probably write out a list, impotent and pointless. Absorbing threats of violence, some directed at employees who work in neighborhoods, others directed at just anyone in the building downtown, it wears on you. At the start, when it's new, you just have time to take quick crying breaks and then get back to monitoring your big, gun-toting digital baby. After a few days, you're drinking too much. You're breaking down. You're dreaming about guns and anonymous, snarling mouths. After a couple of weeks, the executives are checking in on you, which is nice, a surprise. They didn't get to where they are without having been the wall that catches the shit when it flies. They know what it feels like. The special kind of mediation it takes to sit there and let it burn you, to not flinch. It lasted 2 months. There were peaks and valleys, but I fell asleep to and woke up to death threats, violence threats, sexual threats, racist rhetoric, and the nonstop noise of the internet rage machine for 2 months. Months have passed since the outrage machine finally ran out of steam, and my hair has been falling out since. Every morning I wake up to my happy, quiet life, my sweet new dog and my loving husband, and I remove strands of fallen hair from my forehead and my shoulders and my arms. They tickle me throughout the day, as if the ghosts of these thousands of commenters are now pinching my skin, never to leave me. I'm not bald, but I can see thinning patches. The internet says during these stress events, called telogen effluvium, that there's just nothing you can do. Up to 70% of your hair can fall out if it's that scared. The internet also says, with this type of hair loss, hair falling out is a sign of regrowth. As the new hair first comes up through the scalp and pushes out the dead hair, a fine fringe of new hair is often evident along the forehead hairline. I haven't seen this new hair yet, but I trust that it will come in the new year. And my brother-in-law's father did his time and has been on the straight and narrow for many years now. And my anonymous career means I no longer have to worry about the prospect of parody accounts pestering me. But the reality is that there will always be angry, messy possums sitting in pleather computer chairs just waiting for a new comments section to be published. And for as long as I want to keep this comfortable job, I will have to manage their outrage, which is becoming more brazen as the months of this year drag on. I have witnessed it firsthand. With the rise of Trump has come a rise in vitriol between internet strangers. Or maybe you will be their next victim. Or maybe you will be the next possum. Or maybe we could all just be quiet. We could be thoughtful. We could go outside and run a mile. We could remember whatever it is we love. We could try to imagine the happiness and peace that our ancestors hoped we would have, worked hard for us to have. We could get a dog, or many dogs. We could turn off the imaginary world designed to make us lash out at each other. We could watch the old anger fall away and see what grows next. Thank you.